Netflix, the big red streaming giant, is crumbling. Their stock was down 42% from the beginning of 2022 and dropped another 30% just yesterday. Rather than making positive decisions, their course of action is just busting out the shovel and digging the hole deeper. Instead of cutting back on the aggressive price hikes, adding more content to an ever-weaning library, and focusing on their Netflix original series and movies, which have been highly acclaimed and well received, any of these potential moves would be options for them to bring back customers from other streaming platforms such as Hulu, Disney Plus, and HBO Max. But instead, they're going to integrate ads into the application, which they've never done before, substantially cut down on their Netflix originals by cutting funding, and a cherry on top of the cream pie cake, they're going to start enforcing password sharing, which virtually every other streaming platform supports in some aspect. In one announcement or official interview, Netflix has taken 3 massive steps in the wrong direction, unless the direction they're trying to head in is the local graveyard to put their platform in a hole. Let's talk about these bonehead moves in a little bit more detail. I know that was a pretty long intro. Now, I've got a few articles pulled up. I'm going to share my screen in just a minute, and we're going to go over some numbers because, well, much like Shakira's hips, the numbers simply don't lie. But before I get into that, I just want to stare you right in the brown eye, or more realistically, the lens of the Sony a5100, and give you my thoughts on Netflix. I have proclaimed over the last 2 or 3 years that they are slipping like a bad transmission. I have respect for them as they are literally the original or first streaming service. I remember when Netflix was a disc-based service, they would send you a DVD in the mail, you'd watch it, you'd mail it back. Then in 2007, Netflix started offering a streaming service. Not very many customers adopted that option because internet speeds were nowhere near what you needed to be able to stream videos. Not to mention that was spooky technology for the time. But over time, they had great success as a streaming platform. And what I will say they do good, I'm going to give them a little bit of praise before I chop them back down. Their Netflix originals, both their movies as well as their series. They even have a couple of animes for you nerds out there. Don't worry, I watch anime too. But Netflix originals are generally very high quality, well written, and entertaining. Also, their user interface is very clean and easy to browse. They could do a little bit more with the categories section, but if you fall asleep or you're wrestling with the old lady, it asks you, hey, are you still watching the show? It's easy to fast forward and rewind, unlike HBO Max, which jumps in 1-minute increments when you try and fast forward or rewind. Maybe there's a funny joke that you want to re-enjoy the side-splitting, knee-slapping action, and you try and rewind it 5 seconds and you're back like 3 minutes. So Netflix's originals and their user interface, the way their thumbnails look and everything, it's an easy to browse and use application. And it is very well supported on several devices. It doesn't matter if you're on Android, iOS, tablet, phone, video game console, smart TV, there's going to be a Netflix application, as opposed to a lot of other services like HBO Max and Disney Plus, where there's certain brands such as Roku, LG, Samsung, that they don't have the application you need in the store. Everybody has Netflix. All right, now that I've blown up your ego head, Netflix, let me whip out my needle and pop that for you. Netflix has been the most aggressive platform when it comes to price hikes. I understand the concept of inflation and the fact that everything gets more expensive over time, linearly. Recently, it hasn't really been linear. It's been kind of shooting right up. Netflix has been the most aggressive when it comes to increasing their prices. Now, they do offer different packages, but in my opinion, it's not worth anybody's time to go below the 4K package that allows 4 devices. Very few people are still watching content in 1080p, as 4K TVs are now the norm as they have come down substantially in price. You can get a 65-inch 4K TV at Walmart for like $500. Granted, it's janky and has low refresh rate and stuff, but topic for another day, maybe a TV buyer's guide. So they raise the price more often and higher than other platforms. They dissolve a ton of popular TV shows and movies that people are requesting to keep on the service. Now, granted, with Friends, people went up in arms when they said they were going to take that off the platform, and they kept it on there for several more months after that. But eventually, Friends left Netflix. A lot of customers were upset about that. That can still be seen on HBO Max. But it seems like the majority of their library is a lot of filler content, a lot of foreign films, a lot of B and C list movies, a lot of older movies, a lot of TV shows that people don't really give a shit about. So they don't really have a very vast, broad library of good streaming content. They have good originals, their TV shows and movies that they make in-house with that little N logo next to it that says in series. But in comparison to other streaming platforms, they simply do not have as much good shit on there. Netflix stock dropped 30% when the market opened on Wednesday. That is today. That is when this article came out, Wednesday, April 20th. A 30% drop in one day. day. That's huge. That's what she said. And for my investors out there that might be thinking, ooh, this is a great buying opportunity. I'm gonna buy the dip and then hike her on the way back up. This isn't gonna rubber band back up. I am relatively well versed when it comes to day and swing trading and also long-term investing. And let me just give you my personal opinion. Netflix is going to consolidate or flatline and then eventually plummet. Netflix is dying. It's hemorrhaging customers, and the company image as a whole, yes, they're trying to adopt new things like Netflix Gaming, which is going to be a streaming service integrated with their already existing platform. But we've seen so far that that was very disappointing. It's mostly like mobile games and indie games and stuff like that. I wouldn't put a single dime on Netflix. That's not financial advice. You can't give that on the internet without getting a slap on the tuchus from Google or YouTube. But just today, that 30% drop, which equates to $45 billion gone off the value of their company. Netflix said it shed 200,000 subscribers in the first 3 months of the year. They also made a public statement saying that this is the first time they've lost subscribers since the inception of the platform. Even before the report earnings, the streaming giant stock was down 42% since the start of 2022. So let's add that up real quick. It was already down 42%. Then let's throw another 30 on there. That's 72. Jeepers. Now, this is what really boils my blood and implored me to make this video. After Netflix announced this week that it had lost subscribers for the first time in a decade, it suggested that a global crackdown on password sharing could be imminent. Such measures could include charging users a fee for sharing their accounts outside their household. That. Now, when they say outside their household, they mean everyone that has your password needs to have the same address. Say, for example, metaphorically, I have HBO Max and I share that password with my mom. And my mom says, oh, I got Netflix, take my password, honey. So we're swapping there so we can each have access to those platforms. Makes sense, right? Because if one person were to pay for every streaming platform out there, as there are dozens, it would be well over $100. But this is the worst response or backlash to them losing subscribers. This is just going to make it worse for themselves. The sharing of passwords and stiff competition from other streaming platforms, better streaming platforms is what they mean, have made it harder for Netflix to pull in new viewers. This is a great solution, Netflix. Rather than building a better platform, maybe getting a more vast library of content, maybe lowering the barrier of entry by lowering your 4K package's monthly price, let's go ahead and crack down on password sharing. Now, I understand if one person is sharing their password with like 20 people, but guess what? You can't do that. They can have your password, but they can't all be sharing the same account at the same time. The 1080p package, last time I checked, is good for 2 devices, and the 4K package is good for 4 devices. They do also have other tiers in there as well. So technically 3 people in your household and maybe your mother-in-law that lives in a separate house could be watching things at the same time. As soon as a 5th person tries to watch something, they will get an error message that says too many people are logged into Netflix. A potential crackdown on password sharing. There are more than 100 million households that use Netflix but do not pay for it. Somebody's paying for it. It's not like they're getting it for free. You would think they'd be more upset about the fact that people can watch literally anything they want on a jailbroken Amazon Fire Stick by putting Kodi on there and getting plugins from the dark web. Not really the dark web, but nefariously. High rating is what they call it. But somebody's paying for the account, so they're getting money from a customer. Netflix admitted it has allowed users to share passwords because it got more people hooked on the platform. That's nice of them. They sound like your local crack dealer. Here's a small rock to get to wet your beak, and then you want some more dust, hit me up for the full retail price. But heightened competition from Amazon Prime, which, by the way, if you have Prime delivery service, you use Amazon for their shipping as I do, you have Prime Video for free. Well, not free, it's with your delivery service. Hulu, Disney Plus, and others has made it much harder for the company to increase its membership base. I don't think the password sharing is the issue here. And here's where we get down to their course of action. Last month, Netflix announced it would begin testing ways to make users in Chile, Costa Rica, and Peru, so fuck you, South America, you're going to be the test dummies for this, who share passwords pay a fee for the additional members. This model could expand into other countries, executives say during the company's earning call on Tuesday, but it was unclear when those changes would be enforced. And they might start including ads as well. So Netflix is one of the few streaming platforms that doesn't have ads. For example, I want to say HBO Max and Prime are 2 of the services I have that'll play a little ad, just like a YouTube video, and you can skip through it after 5 seconds. And Netflix has no ads, but it says right here, the company long resisted supporting ads, but the company reversed course Tuesday. And then down here, they speculate that adding advertisements would likely result in lower watch time per user per day and ultimately higher user turnover. Yeah, probably. And then digging themselves even further into this pit of despair, pulling back on content spending. One of the things I praise them for, one of the things that Netflix does well, is their originals. To further increase revenue growth, Netflix said it would also be pulling back spending on its films and TV shows. Oh boy. So rather than lowering their prices, bringing back a ton of shows and movies that people have been begging for them to get back on the platform, what they're going to do is integrate ads into their platform, which we've never seen before, cut back on their Netflix originals, which are fantastic, and start cracking down on the millions of users that share passwords. But again, my whole take on that is that somebody's paying for that. They are getting somebody's money, and you can't all be streaming at once. Sounds like 3 steps in the wrong direction. Their company's plummeting, crumbling into dust, and they're expediting the process by making bonehead moves. More customers are going to start sliding and finagling their way onto better, cheaper streaming platforms, and a lot of people are going to go on Amazon and pick up one of these bad boys. Jailbreak it. Netflix is trash. If you enjoyed the video, liking it helps it to get seen by more gamers. This information will reach and assist them as well, which in turn helps me grow this little channel, which I do greatly appreciate. Subscribe for more content like this. I cover news in the gaming community and industry, tutorials helping you get set up streaming and YouTubing, as well as honest gaming product reviews, keyboards, mice, headsets, controllers, mics, chairs, etc. There are some hefty exclusive discount codes found only in the description of my videos and only for the audience here at Gamer Heaven. Check out Into the AM for some of the sickest looking and most comfortable cloth to ever grace my gaming giblets. If you don't want to be scorching your corneas with harmful blue light, check out Gamer Advantage, the only blue light glasses on the market that look sexy and actually work. If you're looking for a custom controller that'll blow the competition's tits back, AIM definitively has the best bang for buck or price to performance when it comes to Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch controllers. Nope, they don't do Switch, but they do gaming mice. I said doo-doo. I have links to all my other platforms and socials in the description below. If you need a quick laugh or blast of gamer adrenaline, check my short form videos out at TikTok. To get in touch with myself and the Stallions and Stallionettes of Gamer Heaven, join the community Discord, and check me out at twitch.tv where I go live every other leap year on a blue moon if it falls into an odd calendar number, and my pH balance is on point. Just kidding, starting June I'm going to be live streaming a lot. Thanks for watching. This has been AK40 Kevin hosting Gamer Heaven, and I'll see you tomorrow because I upload daily, all the time, 60% of the time, sometimes, most of the time. Peace.